Hey everybody, it's Clint Arthur with another Entrepreneur's Adventure, coming to you live from the one and only New York City. This is a very interesting report because it's my first day back in the city and I'm walking around and it reminds me of New York City. This is what it is. It's New York City 30 years ago combined with Burning Man. That's what this is. I mean, the only vendors on the streets are people selling masks. It's hysterical. The only thing you can buy on the streets is masks, as if we're at a Halloween party or at Burning Man. Unbelievable. So New York City is now not the same. It's a different city, and I know exactly what it is. It is New York City from 30 years ago. Before Giuliani cleaned up New York City, New York City was still a great city. But when Giuliani came in, there was a lot of boarded up, graffitied up places, and there are. There was a lot of empty storefronts, and there are. It was a great city, but a little bit dangerous. And from what I hear, it is. However, I'm walking around my neighborhood. It looks pretty much the same, except for the fact that it's super quiet. See, that's the other part about New York. See, you know, like, recently you've come to New York. Come on, Nova. Come on, Nova. There's somebody's mask on the ground. Used to be you'd come to New York and it was like packed full of people. For the last 25 years, it's just packed crowded, right? It ain't packed crowded anymore, but it is August. And I remember growing up here. See, when I was a kid in high school, I used to work at the cafe across the street. It was called the Fountainhead Cafe, which was the entry point for me to start reading all the books of Ayn Rand. Fountainhead was the first one, of course. And then Atlas Shrugged and everything else. Come on over here, Nova. You want to stop for a while? We'll stop. Have a seat. Sit. Good girl. See how good she is. And you know, there have been a couple of books in my life where the person said to me, I'm not going to lend you the book. You have to buy the book for yourself. And the Fountainhead was one of them. My boss at the cafe, I said to him, hey man, why is this place called the Fountainhead? He goes, you've never read the Fountainhead? I'm 14 years old. I was washing dishes in a cafe. He's like, you've never read the Fountainhead? How the hell would a 14-year-old kid have read the Fountainhead? I'm like, no. He goes, well, you have to read the Fountainhead. And I go, can you lend it to me? And he goes, no, you have to buy it for yourself. Okay, so I went to, like, Barnes & Noble had a used book outlet in those days on Fifth Avenue. I went to the Barnes & Noble used book outlet. I found a copy of it in the used book section, and I bought the Fountainhead, and man, did I ever get absorbed into the Fountainhead. I remember, you know, the opening line of the Fountainhead, Howard Rourke laughed. Oh man. And then, you know, the Fountainhead glorified smoking cigarettes, and a lot of people in the cafe smoked, and that's really when I started getting exposed to smoking cigarettes. I don't think I started smoking cigarettes until I was a senior in high school, but you know, by the time I was a senior in high school, I started smoking cigarettes. And the baker, the guy who was the baker in the cafe, he was like some, you know, cool gay guy. And like after we would close the cafe late at night, the baker guy would come in to bake all the cookies and muffins and quiche and all that stuff. And he would put on Elvis Costello. Loud, Elvis Costello. We'd play Elvis Costello loud. And he would smoke these Export A cigarettes. And that's when I started smoking Export A cigarettes and all these other stupid things that I did when I was a kid. But in any case, I was reading the Fountainhead. And in those days, New York City was quiet. And I would work, like I had the whole thing, here, I'll give you the view of the Empire State Building. I would have the whole thing like, there you go, how's that? I had the whole thing figured out. My life was like super cool when I was a kid in high school. I had my job working at the cafe on Friday nights and Sunday day. And from that, I would make $200 every weekend. It was awesome. How many kids in high school in 1980, 81, 82 did you know who were making $200 every weekend when they were 16, 17 years old? Only me. And I had a catamaran sailboat that I co-owned with my friend John Uter. And we kept it at his aunt's dock on the bay in Long Island. And I remember my dad said to me, I mean, what the hell is going on? What do you think? You're some kind of little prince? Like, all during the week when we're in the city, you're out at the beach house. And then on the weekends when we go out to the beach house, you're in the city. And I said, but Dad, I have a job. I got to work. I had it so. I had the world by the balls. I had the world by the balls. Had the beach house all to myself during the week, and I had the apartment in New York City on 23rd Street and 2nd Avenue all to myself on the weekends. That was the way it worked. And in those days, like, I would come into the city July, August. August is the dog days of summer. That's where we are in New York City right now. It's like on top of the pandemic, on top of all the BLM protests and all that. It's August, so there's just a lot less people in New York City right now. But I think New York is still New York. I really do. This feels like New York when I was in high school before Giuliani. Come on, Nova. Come on, Nova. Let's go. Nova heel. Come on, Nova. Nova heel. Before Giuliani transformed New York into the greatest city in the world, like clearly acknowledged like the greatest city in the world, it was what it is now, which is a city suffering, a city getting a lot of bad stuff going on, and even worse PR, because, you know, the news media on both sides is going to play it up. They want to show riots. They want to show burning trash cans in the street, burning police cars. They want to show crowds, you know, attacking the police. That's what they want to show. Is that what's going on? I don't think so. I'm taking you with me on my walk. Unfortunately, a lot of stores are gone. You know, this was a Brooks Brothers store, Red Fleece. You know, Brooks Brothers is gone. A lot of stores boarded up, out of business. There's that Beecher's Handmade Cheese. That was like a whole cheese factory in there that was going. That was a cool place. Here's another one. Wow, Equinox Gym. They're closed up. Obviously. This is going to be an interesting walk for you because there's another one. Going right down Broadway. 19th and Broadway. Now, 19th and Broadway, this is the Flatiron District. Very upscale, you know, she district, Flatiron District. You know, here's like a little homeless camp right here. Corner of the Flatiron District. Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. I tell you, I do believe that the world loves New York City. I do believe that there's so much richness. I mean, the architecture that's here. You know, there's a lot of construction going on, renovation going on right now. Amazingly. I think people are using this as a time to like get ahead with projects in the city. Empty. Boarded up coming up. Boarded up. See this? Boarded up. Giving you a little walking tour. Here's a whole, what is this? I don't know what this is. Closed. Now we're going into Union Square Park. So I'm trying to go to the bank to cash a check. Never fails, right? These are the best videos when I'm going to the bank to cash a check, right? And by the way, when we get there, I'm going to ask if they know who Tony Robbins is. And they're going to say, Tony who? You'll see. Because Tony Robbins ain't a celebrity. Go ahead, you got a green light. I got to direct traffic too. I got to be a traffic cop here in New York City too, because people don't know how to drive. There was an Italian guy talking on his phone to Italy. Paragon Sporting Goods. This is an interesting store. I'm glad they're still alive. Really. My cousin married a guy who was the vice president of this store. This is a big store. They used to do a lot of business, Paragon Sporting Goods. And glad they're still alive. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he left that store and went to work in corporate for one of the manufacturers, like Kevin Hart wanted to do. Kevin Hart worked at the sneaker store. Come on, Nova. Kevin Hart worked in the sneaker store selling sneakers, and his big dream was he was going to go work in corporate at Nike. That was his dream. I think that's what my cousin Alan did. But sadly, we've lost touch over the years. All right, here we are. Still a lot of stuff open. Right here on the park, a lot of stuff open. Come on, Nova, let's go. It's a professional makeup store. What are they saying here? Are they doing anything? Here's a lady selling fruit. Sorry.
It's okay.
McDonald's is still open, imagine that. But over here, all this stuff right here, there used to be hundreds of vendors on the streets over here. This is a very interesting part about how there's no more vendors on the streets. Let's ask the police what's going on with the vendors. Excuse me, officer, could I ask you a question? There used to be like 1 million vendors in the park. Did you guys shut them all down, or they just disappeared? Oh, it's certain days? Okay, so there's still a lot?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Used to be every fucking day. Dylan's Candy Bar closed. Here's a corner store closed. I'm coming from the bank. I went to Wells Fargo Bank on 6th Avenue, and that branch is temporarily closed. So now I had to come all the way down here to this branch. That's why we're taking this walk. That's why we're on this entrepreneur's adventure. That's right. So what's the whole cause? Like, well, look, you know, there is a leadership in New York City right now under the regime of Bill de Blasio, Comrade Bill de Blasio, as Sean Hannity likes to say. And the perception is, you want to sit down for a while? You want to sit? Sit. Come here, sit. No, sit. Good girl, relax. Perception is that this is a dangerous, dangerous city. And I guess parts of it are. And I guess if you're not observative. If you're not observative, is that right? I don't know what that word is. If you're not looking around, taking care that nobody's coming up behind you, then you can get in trouble in this city. You gotta be on your toes. That's always been New York. That's any big city. But it's just worse now. But really my main feeling is that the city is just quiet. Okay? Now, I'm gonna stay with you, and you're gonna stay with me until we get into this branch of the Wells Fargo Bank, and I'm gonna ask them, what do you think of Tony Robbins? And the cashier is gonna say, Tony who? Because Tony Robbins is nobody. See, he's a celebrity entrepreneur like everybody else in my world who does what I do or is trying to model me, like Grant Cardone, like Tony. We're all celebrity entrepreneurs. Oh, here's this guy. I haven't bought a painting from this guy. I bought a painting from another painter around here one time. I liked it, gave it to my wife. It's out on the patio. Here's a couple vendors. See? Paintings of New York. Here's a guy. Paintings of New York. There's Nova. Peeing on New York. I had a realization when I was a kid, when I was walking home at 2 o'clock in the morning, drunk, one night, and I like ducked into an alleyway to take a piss, and I came to the realization that every square inch of New York has been pissed upon at some point during its history. I really believe that. A couple more vendors. Chess players. A lot of chess players here. This is very interesting. No vendors, but chess players. Wow. Look at this. Professional chess players. Very fascinating. Where do you see that? Here's Whole Foods. Forever 21 seems to be gone. Bank of America. Capital One. Bank is there, but next to it is empty. Citibank is there. Duane Reade is open. Nordstrom Rack is open. Everything on, and this was the site of a lot of big protests. I remember seeing big protests on the news here in Union Square. This was the location of many big BLM protests. And yet, come over here. And yet, it seems to be open. Everything's still working here. Well, there's a Regal Theater, temporarily closed. That was a big movie theater, like 19 screens, temporarily closed. Come on, Nova. We're about 1 block away from the bank, so this video will be closing up pretty soon. Enjoy it while you got it. Oh man, that mango and cucumber vendor, she's got some good stuff. By the way, I came home and stepped on my own home scale for the first time in 4.5 months, and I'm pleased to report that I've lost more than 27 pounds from living in Mexico for 4 months. And only a portion of that was from the bad Mexican chef diet. Duane Reade, still open. Here's some vendors. We had a bad Mexican chef for 1 month, and I lost probably 14 pounds from that, 15 pounds that month from having a bad Mexican chef. But other than that, I will tell you how I lost the weight. We had celery juice every single day. Come on, Nova. We started off every day with a 16-ounce glass of celery juice. Come on, Nova. And then we had lunch in the afternoon. We had guacamole and chips, or guacamole and jicama slices, or some variety of that in the afternoon. And then we had dinner, and it was usually fish. Usually some kind of fish sauteed in oil with garlic or something like that. And also we had a watermelon juice in the afternoon. I had watermelon, ginger, and turmeric juice every afternoon. All right, here's the Wells Fargo, still open. All those stores over there, still open. Hello.
Hi, sir. You for the dinner?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hello.
Nice and air conditioned in here. Hello.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good, thank you. All right, watch this. First thing we're gonna do. Hi. Want to cash a check? First, I want to ask you a question, if that's okay. What do you think of Tony Robbins?
I don't know who that is.
You know who Tony Robbins is?
No, but sir, are you taping right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't tape it.
That's okay. I just wanted to ask that question. Nobody knows who Tony Robbins is? Nobody.
You can't tape it.
Okay, no problem. That's going to be the end of this entrepreneur's adventure. Thanks so much for watching. I told you, Tony Robbins is nobody.